Hello, I'm Dominic Hobson, co-founder of Future of Finance. My guest today is Sanjeev Birari, co-founder and CBO of Zoniqx, the California-based pioneer of tokenization platforms as a service that believes artificial intelligence, compliance, and interoperability are the keys to scaling the transformation of real-world assets into digital assets. Sanjeev, thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me, Dominic. It's a pleasure to be here.
Let's start at the obvious place. What, in brief, does Zoniqx do?
Yeah, so it's an interesting journey for us because when we started, even the regulations were not there. We started back in 2017, and the aim is actually, to convert any real-world assets ownership interest into digital tokens. And at that point of time, the real-world asset tokenization was not an idea. It was actually a fractionalization of real estate when we started with. We actually eventually, when we see what we got into this space is driven by regulatory and a compliance because these are securities, so it has to be more to do with a compliance, and a compliance is actually been driven by local jurisdiction where you're issuing the asset class, where the asset class belongs to. So we grew significantly over the last probably 8 years, because when we started it was 2017, and we started with the vision of kind of making this a global tokenization asset lifecycle revolution, empowering the institutions with AI-driven blockchain solutions for real-world asset tokenization. So that's basically what our vision is. So I'll simplify this. So our kind of what we do is we target the institutions to get into this space of converting their real-world assets interest, whether it's a debt or an equity, it's a very seamless and a simplest manner, which actually kind of give them a solution which is AI driven, artificial intelligence driven, and on a blockchain solution for real world asset tokenization. And that's basically what we do. Yeah, and we're based in Menlo Park in California, and this is our 9th year, where we are actually, me and my other founder, which is Prashant Kalangi. We both actually have been in this space since really long.
You've mentioned compliance as being a highlight of your platform. You didn't mention identity, but tell us what sort of functionality is the Zoniqx platform offering? You're allowing people to issue tokens, obviously, and comply in these jurisdictions. But tell me more. What's the functionality you're offering?
Yeah, so think about it like we built something which is a global, compliant oracle of all the regulations. When we say all the regulations, most of the securities, when we are issuing any real world asset or under any security regulations, 70 to 80% of compliance rules are common for all the jurisdictions. The 30% changes based on the jurisdiction itself. So what we built is, say, if you're issuing a real world asset for a debt of a commercial real estate, a brownfield or a greenfield project in the US, you need to follow Security Exchange Commission, which is SEC's regulations. There are certain exemptions. There are like Reg D 506C, Reg D 506B, or Reg S exemptions for qualifying the overseas investors investing in the US. Now, what we built is we built all these exemptions in our solution. So based on the jurisdiction of an asset class, it will automatically give you the regulations which is applicable in that particular jurisdiction, and which is basically what you would like to select based on your legal's advice to opt for that particular regulations. So this is more from the US perspective. But think about it, if you're issuing something in Germany, like Germany, there's a regulator called BaFin. So if you're issuing securities in Germany, you would get BaFin regulations. If you're issuing some securities in Dubai, you'll get VARA regulations. If you're issuing securities in Abu Dhabi, it's ADJ. Because what we built is the global regulatory compliance in our smart contracts. So based on the jurisdiction of an asset class, you will get the regulation which is applicable in that particular jurisdiction. And based on your legal advice, you need to just select it. It's that simple. I hope I clarified this.
It's obviously useful to achieve local regulatory compliance, either with the SEC in the United States, the FCA in London, and as you say, the BaFin in Germany. But that isn't going to be of great value to your clients unless they can interoperate. And you've emphasized interoperability as one of the benefits you offer. Could you talk to me a bit about interoperability, and in particular about how many layer one blockchains your users are able to interoperate with?
Absolutely. This is a very, very good question, Dominic. And the reason to that is, think about it, this space is driven by, see, we're using blockchain, right? And there could be a lot of layer ones and layer twos. Now, there are probably 15 to 20 leading layer ones and layer twos blockchains are actually probably already there in this space. But the leading out of them, there are probably 8 to 10 are leading the real world asset tokenization application on their blockchain. And when we say on their blockchain is when we offer this solution, we integrate our application on their blockchains, which is their layer ones or layer twos. So think about it, if it is Coinbase. Coinbase has got a layer two called Base. Now, we've also integrated on Base as well. The reason to that is, and most of the layer ones and layer twos would want to have our application, which is Zoniqx application, because it has got interoperable and compliant regulation. In offerings, it has got global liquidity and DeFi integration via AI automated tools, seamless integration on interoperable across all the chains. And of course, it's got kind of extreme powerful tools of comprehensive SDKs and APIs. This is all SDK and API driven. Now, we have partnered with XRP Ledger, Ripple. Ripple has got a blockchain called XRP Ledger. We've got, of course, we were the first one who actually issued securities in the US on Polygon chain, which is back in 2020. It was a Reg D 506C offering of a $50 million rental portfolio on chain. Following that, we have on Hedera. Hedera is our partner as well. We are actually, also on Cardano. We are also talking to Cardano, and there's a new chain called Midnight, which is again founders of Cardano actually have, so we are there on those chains as well, and multiple of these leading chains where we see them good fit for offering this application and driving the entire real world asset tokenization use cases. So that's basically, it's a very, very important interoperable play. And I'll tell you why we are doing this. It's very easy with Zoniqx tool that you can, literally plug in and plug out these chains and interoperable in between different chains. Like think about it, if you're issuing securities on, say, Polygon, and you would like to, and your buy side, your buyers of those tokens have been built a decentralized exchange on, say, XRP Ledger. How do you interoperable in between these, sales and a buy side then? So you basically are switch, from the XRP Ledger, or if you're issuing it on Polygon, you just have to, kind of get Polygon out and get XRP Ledger in. It's that simple. So that's one of the reasons that we actually say that we are interoperable in between different systems. So there are different chains, blockchains. So that's basically one of extremely most difficult use case which we resolved in this space.
You published this ERC standard 7518. What part is that playing in the interoperability process which you've described?
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Tell me, how does the ERC 7518 ensure interoperability across these chains like Polygon and Cardano?
Yeah. So the best, DICEST, what we internally call this protocol is Dynamic Interoperable Protocol, which is for EVM compatibility is ERC 7518. But for non-EVM, like say there is a Solana, right? And how do we integrate with, if you're only on having EVM compatible chains and interoperable access? So we built ERC 7518, but on top of that, we built DICEST, which is DICEST. So when we have this interoperable solution between different chains qualifies you not only to integrate with EVM compatible chains, but at the same time, non-EVM compatible chains as well, or smart contracts chains, all non-smart contracts chains as well. And I'll tell you why I'm differentiating with all of these, because Ripple, so XRP Ledger doesn't have smart contracts. They have trust lines, but still we built our application is interoperable in between their system as well. It is already there on XRP Ledger as well. So ERC 7518, which is belongs to our DICEST standard, it is a dynamic compliance cross-chain interoperability standards. And it is actually, it has got a lot of features like token locking, force transfer, efficient payout mechanism, handling complex compliance scenarios in a most efficient manner. And there are a lot of ERC standards in the market. When we started, there were nothing. There were only few of the ERC standards. Right now, there are a lot of different ERC standards. But what we are differentiating ourselves is because the dynamic interoperable protocol, which are also having EVM compatible ERC 7518 standard, is actually it gives you a seamless cross-chain interoperability, including both any EVM or non-EVM chains. And that's exactly what our main benefit is, what Zoniqx stands out of all of these, the other, competitors, or probably the offerings for that matter. And I need to, kind of give this more emphasis to, these EVM, non-EVM, smart contracts, non-smart contracts chains, because the future of finance, what your name of the company is, which I really like, is all about how do the institution should think that, oh, I don't have to build, it's already been built by Zoniqx. I just have to use it in a most seamless, compliant, and a more regulated manner. And that's exactly what we offer.
So just to be clear on that, ERC 7518, very useful for interoperability with EVM blockchains, but the DICEST protocol means that users of Zoniqx are actually indifferent to whether something is an EVM compatible blockchain or not, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, Dominic, you're right.
Okay, that's good. Real world assets have been your focus. I have a twofold question for you on that. One is, how broad a definition is that? You mentioned real estate at the outset, but are we talking about, I don't know, carbon credits, precious metals? And what's been your logic, more importantly in a way, what's been your logic for focusing on those asset classes?
So, I mean, so think about it that Zoniqx has built something which is an asset agnostic solution. And when I'm saying asset agnostic, is there are a few use cases which we are actually groundbreaking in this space. And the think about it, like a use case which is a private equity fund, which is going to be investing, and raising capital to invest in brown and greenfield projects to build green energy and AI data centers in the globe, right? Like, so like we are doing like almost $1 billion of issuance, which is, investing in those, it's a private equity fund, which is going to be investing in, it's going to be investing in building green energy and AI data centers in Saudi Arabia, Dubai, Europe, India, and in the US. So this is one of the use case. So when we say Zoniqx, it could probably offer this solution to a private equity fund, which is a master fund it's a master and feeder structure in master in Cayman and feeders in multiple jurisdictions, and think about it like there is a gold trader or a gold merchant based in Dubai would like to put those securities on chain and tokenize them and tokenize that gold and come up with the liquidity for the existing gold what should they have, or a strip mall in Texas which is giving it's already a rental yield asset which is giving a good yield to the to the LPs, and they would like to now put those assets on chain, tokenize them. So Zoniqx can support any asset or issuer, whether they would want to issue debt or an equity on chain in a most regulated and a compliant manner. And that's exactly what Zoniqx offers. So for me, if you ask me which is my favorite asset class, the answer for this is I'm an asset agnostic, a technology solution provider based out of the most happening technology space in the world, which is Silicon Valley, because I'm based in here. And so I emphasis more on giving the best solution for my issuers, which is in this case the institutions, or could probably be a real estate developer based in Texas or in California who would like to kind of use my solution. So that's exactly what we do. So we are an asset agnostic solution providers in RWA space, and we use a significant AI tools, and we've already inbuilt our AI tools for actually making this entire fund administration process literally automated. Entire thing is automated. So that's exactly what we offer.
Can you give me an idea of where the business has got to? You mentioned you were founded back in 2017. You've got a very clear focus on real world assets. You've got an interesting client base, interesting partnerships, but just some stats, the number, the value of assets your platform has supported to date. Where's the business got to? What can you share with us?
Yeah,
And indeed, what are you projecting in terms of future business?
So we've done almost close to around $6.5 billion of assets, which is almost $7 billion of assets tokenized up till today. Having said that, this 7 billion consists of almost close to around 18 to 20 different use cases from different industries, from carbon credits to an NBA team minority shares holders cap table putting it on chain, to a commercial real estate debt equity, to to a reinsurance contract for a NASDAQ listed company. Or now I'm talking to the biggest companies in the insurance space. They would like to put this insurance contract on chain. So I think what we have done so far are extremely unique and different use cases, from private equity to venture capital on chain. Now, as I said, we've been in this space since 2017. So what we have done so far is, of course, huge, different asset classes. But since past couple of years, this space has seen a huge adoption from the sale side and a buy side both. When I'm saying sale side is like the issuers who would like to put securities on chain. But on the buy side, it's very interestingly a family office. It could be a pension fund, endowment funds, or it could be a IRAs or broker dealer networks who would like to invest in those digital assets, which is being issued on chain. So we've seen for the next couple of years, I see a huge huge uptick on these issuances, and we ourselves are targeting almost close to around 10 to 12 billion dollars of assets on platform in next for this particular year, in addition to what we have done, almost $7 billion. So that's basically what we've been seeing. And at the same time, I also would like to see there are a lot of new different asset classes which you could see, and the retail investors or an institutions would see a huge different an alternative investment asset class is going to come up in next couple of years from now.
Could we talk a bit about the partnerships which you've formed? You've mentioned working with Ripple. I believe you've been working with Hedera as well, but you've also been working with the big four accounting consultancy shops, PwC, EY, Deloitte, KPMG. What are you getting out of these partnerships? What are they getting out of you? What's making them work?
Yeah, it's a very, very interesting, question, Dominic, and let me explain you. So most of these big fours like PwC, Deloitte, RSM, EY, KPMG. Now, what's the famous and why they are famous for? Why they are actually, what's their USP? The big fours are actually helping the clients, the institutions, to actually kind of give them the services, and those are like turnkey solutions, right, for corporates. Now, most of the big corporates coming to them and asking them about, hey, I've heard BlackRock is actually tokenizing a money market fund. I've heard a commercial real estate in US has actually been tokenized a debt or an equity. We also would like to do that, and could you please guide us in terms of structuring the fund, which could probably potentially be issuing on chain. Now, our partnerships with PwC, especially when we are actually one of very close partners with PwC London, and me and my partner were there last year to actually talk to PwC London, because PwC operates the London and then to other jurisdictions as well. But they offer the ready solutions of us to their clients. When somebody is asking them, hey, I would like to tokenize a fund which is based in a Cayman or a British Virgin Island or Mauritius, why don't you help us in structuring it? So, to PwC or KPMG, and they would assist, and they would actually push our solutions to them. They say, hey, if you would like to talk about getting this solution in the most compliant and a legal way, you could probably talk to them. And that's exactly how our partnership works. And this is a win-win for both of us. So most of these partnerships works in a more kind of a win-win situation for us with Deloitte or PwC or KPMG.
It obviously is essential to the success of your business, not just to source issuers, and that 7 billion didn't come from nowhere, but you need the buy side as well. You need to build up a buy side network as well. So tell me, how are you going about that task, and how successful are you being in building that network, presumably of banks and asset managers and maybe people working in the cryptocurrency industry as well, to try and build not just that primary market issuance, but also in the long term, I guess, that secondary market trading. How important is that to you as the supplier of the technology to deliver that?
So Dominic, to answer that question, I need to give you a little bit, kind of a background about what Zoniqx has been built so far. So, and I would probably, this is more to do with our product portfolio, right? I mean, we have, kind of like 5 products in total. TPAS, which is Tokenization Platform as a Service, enables any institution or an asset owner to actually issue securities, which is Tokenization Platform as a Service, is a SaaS offering, to in 72 hours deployment time, asset agnostic architecture, and a plug and play platform, which is our TPAS, which is Tokenization Platform as a Service. And it is also have a smart GPT angle here, which is everything is automated on the AI. So you have an automated workflows, which is 50% more faster and a 30% cost reduction for issuing securities on chain. Now that's TPAS. You can
on that question, Sanjeev, is that where users would also print, if you like, the smart contracts, use templates in that platform, or are they another part of your offering?
No, smart contracts building is a part of TPAS, which is Tokenization Platform as a
Okay, good. Yeah, just want to be clear.
Right. Absolutely right. And coming back to the main liquidity issue in this space, as we've been driving this space since almost 8 years, this is my 9th year now, we've realized that you can issue as many as securities you want. You can issue as many as tokens you want, but there has to be a structure. There has to be a ecosystem for you to actually connect these issuers who are issuing securities or tokens to a buy side network. And a buy side network for us is going to be not only one broker dealer network, which is securitized, or T0 or an exchange in US, but could be a family office or a pension fund or an endowment fund, or could probably be a broker dealer, multiples of broker dealer networks, IRAs, or placement agencies who are already been helping the issuers to raise capital from Luxembourg, from Zurich, from Geneva, from Hong Kong to Dubai. So what we have built, the second product now, exactly I'm coming back in a sequence of our product portfolio. TPAS is to issue securities. So institutions can issue securities in the most compliant way. So you have done that, you issued tokens. Now, you need to connect with the buy side network, which is a RWA Connect, which is Real World Asset Connect, is a product which we actually have launched, which has got 100% asset discovery boost. Traditional, it is a mix of TradeFi and a DeFi integration as well. And this is a huge benefit to this industry. And I'll tell you why. Because our TPAS, which is issuing securities in a most compliant manner by using DICES protocol, can connect you, which is to a RWA Connect platform. RWA Connect is a platform which actually in a product which connects you with the multiple buy-side networks, which is broker-dealer networks, wealth managers, financial institutions, pension funds, endowment funds, and DeFi operators or ATS and decentralized exchanges. And that actually eventually would drive the liquidity. And that is exactly what we are differentiating ourselves in between, few of these, people who are actually, claim that they have the solution in this space. And that's something which is what we are very proud of that. And that's how I see a liquidity can drive. And also think about it, there are very creative ways to actually have a global liquidity distribution rails, because there could be a lending borrowing, against these digital assets. We have we have like partnerships with Copper, we have partnerships with the different custodians. They are also talking about lending and borrowing against this, digital assets, which is actually been issued on chain. So which is again a liquidity pool for issuer, right? So these are multiple ways, and all these are being connected by a real world app, real RWA Connect, which is our product, which we've launched.
In effect, you're using RWA Connect to create an ecosystem of service providers and exchanges, even prime brokers and others who add up, I suppose, to the liquidity which the issuers and traders need. And it doesn't mean you have to wear out your own shoe leather building that network nameplate by nameplate. It's an interesting model.
Thank you.
Now, you've talked a lot about compliance, and the one area of compliance which is extremely expensive and difficult to execute properly is obviously the KYC, AML, counting the financing of terrorism, sanctions screening thing. If you can automate that, I'd have thought the world would be beating a path to your door. Now, I'm aware that you do have an identity check component. Tell us about that. Are you got these sort of on-chain IDs? Have you? These are digital identities. What's the process which the users benefit from on that front?
So one of the very crucial aspect of compliance is the KYC and AML, and the KYC AML, to avoid this duplication, we have, an inbuilt product called Himdall, sorry. Himdall consolidates the user identifiers with secure, reusable on-chain IDs, and which eliminates the redundancy of checks while maintaining the compliance. And that's a very important feature. And, and of course, the KYC, AML, KYB happens on chain. And that's exactly what, our DICEST, one of the biggest benefit of our DICEST offering, which is our protocol, is it allows you to reuse the on-chain IDs for doing this KYC and AML, and it avoids the KYC and AML duplication. That's basically one of the major advantage of our DICEST protocol.
Your users are happy to use identity checks run by other organizations, are they? I asked that question because in the banking industry, people always say, well, we can't rely on our competitors to do these checks. We've got our own special aspects of this which we need, questions we need to ask, all the rest of it. So it's a major source of inefficiency in the traditional financial services industry. So it's interesting that your clients are comfortable with that because they're comfortable, presumably, with the process.
That's right. It has got kind of definitely a big advantage. I'm being very honest. But then it all depends on the issuer and their internal compliance. How do they want to adopt these kind of tools? We worked with one of the biggest the big four, and along with them we've actually worked on a very biggest central bank in the world to actually do their centralized tokenized deposits. So I think it all depends on the issuer and their offering in terms of how they would like to take this forward. But yeah, I agree with you. That's a major challenge, and we've been kind of fortunate to actually offer that kind of a solution for them.
Now, one of the things I think I've heard you say is you are joining up the TradFi and DeFi worlds, and clearly the onboard digital identity checks, all that are a very important part of that, as is your interoperability offering. How creative can you be in this area? I mean, TradFi and DeFi still work in very different ways. You've got all these DeFi apps out there, running automatically, running on smart contracts, and whilst in principle, lending an asset into a DeFi app is much the same as lending an asset to an investment bank. Technically, I imagine it's actually quite difficult to join those two things up. So how do you get that integration right? How do you get it to be seamless?
So Dominic, I don't want to claim, saying that we've solved that problem, because it's a massive shift or it's a massive, kind of a bridging of, kind of adding the traditional finance to a decentralized finance. So, but yes, I'm proud to say that Zoniqx is working on some of the major use cases, which could probably authenticate and, set the precedence in this space of using the decentralized finance, adding the traditional finance, integration. And that's something which is where we are working on, a few of these private equity fund use case of actually getting the validation done. So yes, I mean, up till today, we haven't seen a, kind of like a successful use case in this space, but we being, the largest kind of stakeholders, I mean, largest actually gathering of stakeholders from RWA perspective, and the biggest, the integration of all these big stakeholders of RWS together and offering it on a Zoniqx platform, we are actually, we would probably be, you would probably see in near future, some of the biggest use cases of actually integrating these, both adding traditional finance to a decentralized financial integration on through our RWA Connect product, which is connecting the sales side and the buy side.
One of the ways you've described your business strategy is putting everybody on the same platform, which is an interesting way of describing it, particularly at a time when there is discussion in the securities industry and the security token industry about common platforms. In other words, everything would be issued, if you like, in a standardized form, and people would interact with those assets in a standardized way, but it would be nothing more than a basic framework, and there would be lots of scope for layer 2 applications and entrepreneurs to get involved in building things. Where do you think what you're doing fits into that vision of the world? Are you creating a common platform here, or are you a vendor to common platforms, or are you pioneering something completely different and apart from that?
So we are giving a solution to the institution to have the largest ecosystem of real world asset tokenization stakeholders. And we are connecting all these dots in between the traditional finance and a decentralized finance. We are connecting the dots in between, the sales side and the buy side by, offering the interoperability, global, global regulatory compliance. And because think about it, we've been seeing this Web3 space is unfolding since past 8 to 10 years, right? Now, out of this Web3, RWA is one of the application, but RWA is a very huge, massive application because we haven't seen a transition from all of these biggest assets, like even real estate itself is a $1 trillion asset class. Now, if you think about moving those, transition from those, those particular assets on chain, what we would like to offer is this whole win-win proposition for an institution of to connect to the sales side and a buy side in a more compliant, a global compliant manner, and which reduces their compliance cost to 50%, which gives the ability to kind of move these assets 50% more faster and 50% faster cross-chain interoperability. And last but not the least, to offer the AI tools to automate the entire workflows, which actually can give them a 50% faster dynamic responses of, for all these processes, and a significant reduction in the cost as well. So that's exactly what we would like to build. So I honestly do not have the actual, answer to all these 3 options which you've given me, but we would be happy to kind of give those solutions to the institutions to kind of to put those assets on chain in a more compliant and a legal way.
Would you say that you have built interoperability into the platform by design? And I asked that question because there are a lot of people who claim to have interoperability solutions. There's Chainlink, CCIP, there's Fin P2P from our friends at Onera, for example. There are lots of other examples around. And if you were active in this space, you might start to get confused about the range of interoperability options to such an extent you think there needs to be interoperability between interoperability solutions. What's your high-level view of the way interoperability is eventually going to to settle? Is it just going to be a standard function of all platforms and all technologies in the space, or does there need to be some body, like some international standards body like SWIFT, that comes in and imposes standards?
So to answer that question, yes, we do work with CCIP because Chainlink is right now we're talking to them to integrate Dicest very specifically because see, think about it, like CCIP, what they offer is for all of these like non-fungible fungible tokens as well, right? Which is for NFTs as well, and for the other as classes as well. But we have built very specifically the Dicest interoperable protocol only and only for RW applications, which is real world asset token. And that's exactly what our niche is. So when we say this, we are actually concentrating to offer the Dicest interoperable protocol with on-chain reusable ID, with non-EVM, EVM, chains interoperability, with smart contracts, non-smart contracts chain interoperability, in a most global oracle of all of these regulations across the globe. So for real world asset tokenization application offering. So we are mastering and we are offering something very specifically for the application of real world asset tokenization. Yes, there are people who are actually having interoperability for all the other asset classes as well. Probably would be NFTs or the other applications. But for us, we are very specifically giving this to the RWA ecosystem only. And yes, we are working with CCIP because CCIP is working with us to actually offer this for only RW applications as well. So we are talking to them, and absolutely, I mean, it's a creating the largest ecosystem on the planet. That's exactly what our aim is. So we would like all these partners to kind of offer what we have, and if what we do not have and what they've already built, we would like to add that as well, so that my issuers would get the benefit out of it. And that's exactly how I see a win-win for all of us to create the biggest ecosystem for RWA.
Right, creating the largest ecosystem on the planet for real world assets. That's your long-term ambition here. And this is my last question, I suppose. Do you, as you look back over the 8 or 9 years you've been working in this sector, and you've made a lot of progress solving problems like compliance and interoperability. You wouldn't, from what you're saying, regard yourself as having solved them yet, but you've made a lot of progress on that front. Is this market growing fast enough to keep you enthusiastic and forward-looking and optimistic about the future?
Honestly, the adoption of RWAs started only since past 2 years. Even though we've been very active in this space and we've been trying to get all of these use cases, and I'll tell you why the adoption has gone faster, because people like us who've been kind of only focusing on RWA since 2017 have been very consistently giving these use cases to the institutions to share the validation that is already happening. And that's one of the reasons that what we're seeing, we are extremely happy that the challenges like compliance, interoperability is still there. I mean, I'm not saying that it's completely moved out of the equation, but Zoniqx is driving that innovation to accelerate the process, and that's exactly how we see that the next few years are going to be a huge uptick in, first of all, not only in adoption, but not only the driving the adoption from the sales side, from the people who would like to tokenize, the institutions who would like to tokenize the assets, but at the same time, the buy side as well. With the new administration here in the US, I've been seeing a huge response lately since, from the say pension fund. Like I will just give you a small, kind of, story about it. In 2018, I got a call from one of the biggest pension fund in Canada, in Alberta. And they've said that, hey, Sanjeev, I really like what you talk about it. I would like to go ahead and, kind of put a couple of $1 billion from our portfolio from US real estate on chain. So, but after 3 days, he called me and he said, oh, my other stakeholders and management, senior guys don't understand what I told them to do. So, but the same guy called me in 2024, last year, in November, and he said, Sanjeev, I would like to now try, because my other stakeholders are already, aware of what you guys are doing and what you guys are uniquely offering. So we would like to do that for a pilot of, say, a couple of $1 billion of use cases here in the US to put it on chain. So think about the adoption cycle here as well. So I've been seeing this adoption is growing significantly, and for the next few years down the line, you would see a lot of different asset classes would come on chain. So we are quite excited about it.
Mhm. Well, let's hope it doesn't take another 6 years to educate his fellow pension funds into what you're doing. Sanjeev Birari from Zoniqx, thanks very much for taking the time to share your knowledge and insights with the members of Futures of Finance.
Thank you so much, Dominic. It's a wonderful talking to you, and those questions are really, really nice because it's close to our our space. So I hope this particular part, whatever video would kind of make all of the institutions understand that how quickly and easy is this space now unfolding. So I really thank you so much for taking time.